My name is Mr. Berry. This lesson is brought to you by the Northern Cape Department of Education in collaboration with Pagama Research and Development. Remember, it is important for you to know both microeconomics and the economic issues. It will make it easy for you to answer your section A, because section A, it is compulsory. It has both chapters. 15 marks it is for microeconomics, and the other 15 marks is for the contemporary economic issues. And when you go to question 4 as well, you have both micro and economic issues. So your paper, you have 6 questions. Out of the 6 questions, you are answering 3, you are answering 4, 1 compulsory from section A, 2 from section B, and then 1 from section C. Right, so it is important for you to be well prepared on both chapters, and also revise using your previous question paper, revise using your study guides and the examination guideline. Follow the information that you have in examination guideline, and as you prepare for your final exam, remember that for you to maximize your marks, you need to understand the question. So you need to read the command verb in a question. So when you are using your previous question paper, look at the question and what is it commanding you to do. If the question is asking you how, why, what, you must understand the question verb and be able to answer. And you must answer the full question that you are asked. Right, so our important date is that we are writing paper 1 Wednesday the 19th of 2025, and then our paper 2, it is on the 21st of November 2025. If you look at the time in between paper 1 and paper 2, you see that you do not have much time, so your preparation should start as soon as possible. Right, so the structure of the paper is out of 150. It's a 2-hour paper. You are reminded to read instruction. You have the 10 minutes of reading. Do not start without reading the instruction, so that you can remind yourself that section A, it is compulsory. From section B, you only answering 2 questions, and section C, you only answer 1 question. Section A is 30 marks. Section B, each question is 40 marks. You are answering 2 of the 40-mark questions. So you have question 2. Question 2 is only microeconomics. You have question 3, which is your economic issues. Then you have question 4, which is the mixture of both economic issues and your microeconomics. So you can decide to answer maybe question 2 and question 4, or you can decide to answer question 3 and question 4. And in section C, you have question 5 and you have question 6. Question 5, it is your microeconomics essay. So you'll be asked an essay from the microeconomics. So those essay, how do you see them? From perfect market, imperfect market, and market failure. They are written, discussed in detail, and they are bold. We are going to look at those essays. And then in question 6, you have economic issue essay. You also find them from your inflation, tourism, and environmental sustainability. They will be written in bold, and it says discussed in detail. That is the essays that we have for question 6. Section A, it is compulsory. You have 8 questions in 1.1, 2 mark each from all the 3 questions from each chapter. 3 units, there will be questions from the 3 units, and from economic issues again, 3 units, you'll have the questions from both your micro and economic issues. Also with matching of items, you'll be having 8 marks. You'll be matching columns, 4 questions from micro, 4 from your economic issues, also 1.3, 3 from microeconomics and 3 from economic issues. That's why we say it is very important for you to know both chapters, so that you can maximize this marks. For you to maximize this marks, you need to revise using your previous question paper, looking at different question paper, looking at your section A, and understanding the terminology, so that you'll be able to master this. This gives you 30 marks. So if you understand terms, then it's easy for you to score marks. Right, so 1.1 is a multiple choice question. You are given four options, A to D. You choose one correct one. Avoid guesswork. You need to understand terminology for you to answer this. Usually you'll be having two absolutely wrong answers, and then the other two they may look correct, but it's the most correct answer that you have there. That must be your only answer. You can't say A or B. There's always one answer. Right, so make sure that you understand your terminology so that you can select the right answer without guessing. 1.2, you have column A and column B. From column B, you have your statement and you have a term in column A. It is easy to move from B to A. It saves time. If you read the statement in column B, then you can quickly match it with column A. That will save time. There's always an extra answer. You need to eliminate that answer if you find it. There's always 9 answers where we have 8 terms, right? So you need to eliminate the wrong answer, right? And we have 1.3. This one you need to go and revise on terminology again. Use your previous question paper, use your study guide, right? And remember, you cannot use acronyms when you are writing this one. You need to write in full, right? If the answer is a system of national accounts, you must write system of national account, not SNA, right? So it must always be in full, and avoid leaving spaces, avoid not answering the question, right? So that you can be able to, maybe the question that you are not writing there, it is a correct answer, so that you can maximize getting the 30 marks. If you look at section A, it's carrying the same marks as the essay, excluding the additional part. If you know the essay, you have 30 marks, because the additional part, it is any higher order question that can be asked. Right, so question 2 to 4 under section B. Remember, you're only choosing 2, so I'm going to use 2.1. This represents 3.1 and 4.1. So 2.1, you find your easy question here where you can easily score 2 marks, where they ask you to name any two, to list any two. And then you have your 2.1.2, which is an application question where you are asked how, why, and what. So this is the first 4 marks, which is your 2.1, 3.1, 4.1. And then you have your 2.2, 2.3, or we can say 3.2 and 3.3, or 4.2 and 4.3. Here you are having data response question. Our data response question are scaffolded in this way. You have 1, 1, 2, 2, 4. Right, so we have the first question, which is the lower order, where you are identifying something maybe from the graph or from the extract. And then the second question, you are also still naming. And then the third question, you are still describing. So the first 3 questions are actually lower order question, where you are naming, you are listing, you are giving, then you are describing. And then question number 4, this is where now you start applying, which is also a middle order. And then the last question that carries the 4 marks becomes more moderate to difficult, where you are asked now how, what, and then you need to reason for that 4 mark. So this is applied for both the data response question. So from the data response question, you are given actually 4 marks for free. The first one, 1 and 2. So you are having 2 data response question per question. That is easy, 4 marks. And then if you look at the 2.1.1 as well, it is your easy 2 marks. Right, so this times 2, it is 8, plus this one is 10 marks out of the 40. That is easy mark. And not forgetting the 2.4 that we're gonna go to, also that 8 mark, it is easy 8 mark. Right, let's move to the 2.4. 2.4, it is one single question, which is a middle order question, where you are asked a question that requires you to remember what you've done in the classroom or what is in the textbook, where you are explaining a concept, where you are discussing a concept, where you are distinguishing, you are differentiating between this and that, or you are drawing a graph and you are explaining from the graph that you are drawing. So this one, it is not more of a higher order question, it is more of remembering information. And then we have your 2.5. This one, it is a single question as well for 8 marks, which is a higher order question. It requires you to apply your knowledge. It requires you to critically think, right? So this is where they ask you how to evaluate, to give the effect of why, right? So this becomes what? A higher order question. But if you look at section B, the 2.1.1 gives you 2 marks, which is a lower order. And then let's go to our data respond. We said we have 4 marks from the data respond. That is your 2.2.1, 2.2.2, and 2.2.3. It gives you 4 marks, and then we go to the next data respond question. In the same question, it is 4 marks. Then we have your 2.4, which is 8 marks. This gives you about 18 marks that you can score from your section B. You're scoring this as easy marks. Remember, you can get to your 40 marks. I'm just showing you where you find more of the easy marks to score. However, you can get up to 40 out of 40. If you apply your mind in other questions, you are able to reason, you are able to critically think outside what you've just done in the classroom. Right, and we need to know how to choose the best question. Remember, question 2 to 4, they are in section B. We need to choose only 2, right? So you need to get a question where you can maximize more marks, right? So during the reading time, the 10 minutes reading time, this is where you go through your section B, where you're trying to choose which question are you going to answer, right? The first 2 questions, which is your 2.1.1 and 2.1.2, or 3.1.1, 3.1.2, right? And the likes of 4.1.1 and 4.1.2. Those are your icebreaker, most especially the first question where you are listing and naming. It must not guide you. It's just there to boost your confidence to know that now I'm answering economics. Then you look at that, but you move to your 8-mark question to see where you can score more marks. Remember, we have 2 8-mark questions, your 2.4 and 2.5. This gives you 16 marks. 8 plus 8, this gives you 16 marks. So you may use the 16 marks to structure your answer and see where you can score more marks. Then you move to your data that is provided, understand the question that is asked, and structure the answers in your head. Remember, around during this 10 minutes, you're not writing, so you can structure your answers. After structuring your answers, then you can try to calculate where you're going to score marks, and then that is the question that you're going to go with. But if you have over-prepared maybe on microeconomics, you already know that when you get to the exam, your question will be question 2 and 4. If you're over-prepared on your economic issues, you know when you go to the exam, your question is 3 and 4. But if you have prepared, balanced, prepared everything, you have prepared your microeconomics, you have prepared your economic issues, then when you get there, you need to use your time for reading to select the best question to answer where you're going to be scoring more marks.